Hello everybody, welcome to the SIG K8s Infra meeting of 11 May 2022. This meeting is being recorded and will be uploaded to YouTube later, so please adhere to the CNCF code of conduct, which basically means be excellent to each other. Welcome to today's meeting. Let's see, would we want to go through the billing report this morning? Steve, would you like us to do that? Okay, so let me share a screen and let's start there. This up there and share. Trust you can see my screen now. Put that away and open the billing report. Oh, it's rude of me. We have a new contributor visiting. Hello, Robert. We've met you at the conformance meeting. Welcome to today's meeting. If you want to introduce yourself, please feel free.
Yeah, sure. I can just do like the quick version. So my name is Robert, and I work as head of platform engineering at Crayon, which is well, it's a big company. Crayon.com. that's the short answer to that. I try to get a little bit more involved in the Kubernetes part of things. I'm in CNCF, in the tag app delivery, and a bunch of other things, working with GitOps and all those kind of cool stuff. Yeah, that's basically it.
Nice having you here. Welcome. Anybody else that's new? Okay, let's go through the billing report. About the same amount that we normally see. I'll just page through, just shout out if there's anything specific that we need to highlight. Okay, that's a spike that we saw last week. This time everything seems to be smooth as normal. All seem in line with what we normally see.
Some like elevator music in the meanwhile.
I don't know why it's so slow today. I'm not sure if it's my network, because my network's not that bad. Okay, $200 there, no issue. Philip, you can do the elevator music while we wait for this for the slide today. Okay, cloud storage, again, the highest cost for storage, and cloud CDN, and getting negligible from there on. Compute engine 9,000. Nothing out of the ordinary. Just showing the differences. 2,000 BigQuery, there was quite a difference on BigQuery, $2,000.
I think that BigQuery one was because something was not running, and then we made sure it started running. That's probably why.
All right, that pushed up that cost.
Yeah, this was to generate the failures and the flakes JSON files.
Oh yes, so Arnold worked on that. The cloud storage is the biggest amount there.
Yeah, one thing Hippie ended up tagging me on an email thread was I think the scale 23 triggered some kind of a email chain. You want to talk about it, Hippie?
Muted.
Sorry. Just saying to Hippie, there's something in the II sandbox that was interesting, which was the data loss prevention. I didn't want to interrupt the discussion that was already happening.
Yeah, I was talking about hippies in an email chain for one of the projects. They were asking us whether it was ours or not, and I confirmed to them. I was able to look at the GCP console, and I confirmed that it is something that we own. They told us like, hey, do you want to bump up the quota on something? And I said, probably not. It's a CI job. If we use up more memory, more CPU, then we are essentially, will be even higher loss in terms of the cost.
No, we're trying to keep the cost down for now.
Yeah, and we're suggesting add more CPUs.
Okay, and I think the key things to discuss today is basically do agenda points, and then so if we look at the KEP, thanks for all the updates and resolving all the conversations in there. I see we got an approve, I think. Do we go to the end? I saw this morning. We have an approve. We just need LGTM. If somebody's comfortable giving us LGTM, that can merge in. Thanks for all the work there, kind of.
Yeah, I can do that. 307. Actually, there was one more thing here, right? I had a PR, so we were asking SIG release folks to take a look at both the PR and the KEP at the same time.
Okay.
Porco, get a chance to look at it?
Hello, can you hear me?
Yes.
Not yet. I'm on my way to the airport to
Okay.
Valencia, but I'll have some time to get some work done at the airport. So I'll probably take a look there.
No worries. Just to give you a heads up, this was a PR in KK where we essentially did a replace of K8s.gcr.io with registry.gcr, and then making sure that all the CI jobs go green. But I haven't looked exactly at what the automation that the SIG release team uses, and I think Ben left some notes in there for you as well, saying, hey, we might need to override
Okay, I'll yeah,
or something like that in the K release, whatever tooling that we have.
okay.
The default would be here, but we have to, when we are doing the builds for a release, we need to use the older registry, and so that we can then push to the older registry, right?
I think
in the pushes, yeah.
Yeah.
There's since been clarification that they are actually promoting images now.
Okay.
Like by filing a promotion PR, and it's pushing to staging. So they should already be overriding it to point to the staging registry instead of the production registry during the release build.
That's even better. If there is no problem, it's even better.
Okay, yeah, I saw it. It was basically a big replace of everything to registry that K8s.io, right?
Right. Yeah. In the past, that would have been problematic because releases just push straight to production, and you can't push there. But since we're already overriding and pushing to staging and KREL now, according to Sasha's comments, we should be fine, I think.
That's the best outcome. Thank you.
Yeah, that's for the main Kubernetes images. Yeah, we promote them from staging, so those should be automatic.
Okay.
Great. Yep. Then we should be good. Then that should be a safe change.
Right. Then I'll go hunt for approvals then. I think I'll need Jordan, Tim Hawkin, or Martin Clayton.
Do you have a link for that PR that we can add it to the agenda just for historical?
Yeah.
Thanks.
I put it in the chat. Let me.
I can need to copy that URL.
Oh, that's not what I copied. That URL doesn't want to be copied.
Hey, we made it.
Success. Somebody know how to copy paste. Thanks, Hippie. All right. So that is. Thank you. That you'll get that approved, and then the cap can merge in as is.
Okay.
Thank you very much. Which take us to the next point. If there's nothing else on that VR and the cap, anybody else have anything on that?
I did have a question for Ben. Ben, when would you be comfortable pushing what is in staging to production? Before this PR merges or after?
I think it should be after. We should focus on making sure that goes smoothly. And the thing that we have in staging right now for testing purposes always points at the one bucket or no setup when we're serving
From
AWS clients.
Yeah.
That's not a good experience if we were actually serving global clients as opposed to a little bit of CI testing. We should get the additional buckets in place first before we roll that out, or we should disable the bucket path.
So let's file an issue for this and ask Arno to create the other buckets.
There are ongoing pull requests around those buckets and the management of them.
Okay.
We have an issue open discussing what the mapping will look like by region.
I remember seeing that one. Okay. Okay, so let's get this PR in, and then let's work on the buckets, and then I think it should also come with a job that pushes things out every day or something.
I think we could move it to production as soon as we have the regions we want with the real buckets, and we have at least one time copy, because it'll be fine if we fall back to GCR. That's pretty much where we're at today, but
Yeah.
it's not very useful if we point everyone at this single region, or if we don't have anything in any of the buckets.
Okay, as soon as multiple buckets are there, we can switch. Okay, got it.
I think
because even if we had empty buckets there, that would probably be fine, because we'll just query them and find that there's no hits. It's less ideal, but it should be fine. But while we just have the single bucket configured, because we don't have the buckets yet, that shouldn't roll out to production.
Got it.
I think the next point, Ben.
Are you referring to sandbox or production? Because we've already created all the production buckets in the AWS regions.
Well, right now the code that's running in the sandbox only points at a sort of sandbox bucket. So we need to get that changed first, and then ideally we need to get some layers into those buckets.
Yeah, I think that
even if it's a one-time thing.
Right. I mean, we still need to do that one-time sync anyway, right?
We'll need
buckets.
We'll need to have everything's set up. So there's off-the-shelf tooling that will let us do a one-time sync, but there's the like credentials and everything. But we'll need that
Arc
tooling
phone, right?
in the future. Right, we'll need that in the future for backfill purposes. Anyhow, but if we do a single backfill once, that should already cover like plenty of traffic released versions.
Yep.
I think the next point on the agenda takes us there because of the IAM role. There was a lot of discussion there to get the IAM role in place for the sync and for be able to write to the buckets.
Yeah, let's talk.
I saw you commented
So-
last on it, so you take the floor, Jay.
Yeah, so I mean, now that the access key has been removed from the Terraform, that was certainly Tim and Arno's biggest concern, and Caleb removed it. But the next time I went and looked at this PR, unless I'm totally mistaken, there's going to be a separate IAM user and policy created for each AWS region. Because the bucket, the AWS S3 bucket variable it'll be like prod and then the region, right?
So there's going to be a single IAM user for the access to it, which will be logged in, and then the policy is per region and bucket. Yeah, not a user per region, because that would be a little bit much.
Okay, so you're saying that there's a separate IAM policy created per region.
Yep.
But for the same IAM user?
It's technically per region, but I'm just going to say per bucket. So per bucket, there is a policy which allows for read-write for a single IAM user.
Right.
And
that, okay.
Go ahead.
That IAM user is going to need an access key, right? Sorry, Zoom is all choppy. That IAM user is going to need an access key in secret that we will need to store. I guess I'm concerned that the multiple user policy objects will be harder to maintain than just having the IAM user assume the S3 writer that has been already created. I mean, I'm certainly open to suggestions on this though, and it would be great if we could get like Ted Zamborsky or like a maybe a developer advocate from the IAM organization to verify the thinking here. I just think like simplicity is better in this case. If we have a role that, I mean, we've already created in the CNCF/AWS Infra Terraform, right? That role has a permission to create buckets and write objects that is responsible for registry K8s.io in the CNCF org. And then I'll just let this IAM user call STS assume role into that role. I just think that's easier to reason about than like multiple IAM policies but again, that's just my concern.
My understanding is in order to use the role that you assume into the registry K8s.io AWS account, you need to be in the CNCF org. And since us here are Kubernetes humans, so we should probably.
I think they propagate down.
We can just add a trust relationship, right, to the whatever account the infra bot is, the automation identity or principal is running as. Because it needs to, so the role called S3 writer that we created, right, in the sub account associated with registry-k8s.io to have a trust relationship added to it so that an IAM user in a different account can assume that role. Right now, the only assume that role are anyone in the CNCF org root account. We just need to add a trust relationship to a specific IAM user and account that this runs as.
So regardless of which way we set up this, it will be an IAM user that will be created in some account that's then assumed into, okay. And what,
correct.
Which,
that then assumes the S3 writer role in the CNCF registry-k8s.io account.
so,
But by doing so, it's assuming the policy that's associated with that S3 writer role, which will have the ability to write objects to all the buckets within that account.
okay, that's cool. So which account would be the best to put it in? Because obviously we don't want to go CNCF top level, would go with one of the, there's the Kubernetes root account. Would we want to go with that one?
We'd create one, I would think.
Whatever. Because this code that's running Terraform, where is that running? So far, I've only seen it run like on a local laptop as like a CNCF admin, right? But what we want is for the CI user or, you know, like the principal associated with the build job to run this, right? And so that IAM principal that's associated with that CI job and or, you know, cloud instance needs to then assume the S3 writer role in the CNCF account. So we need to figure out which AWS account that CI user is in and just add a trust relationship in the CNCF-infra/AWS-infra project Terraform.
Okay, that makes sense.
To that account.
Sweet. I'll make.
And then you don't need this IAM user policy at all. The only thing that you need in the IAM user policy is the ability to call STS assume role, which all users and principals have.
I think it's a good overall policy, and we looked at it earlier about.
Sorry if I'm cutting up.
I think we all are.
Everybody's cutting up a little bit depending on, I don't know, it doesn't seem specific to any one person. So grace on you all. I like the idea, and we've talked about it before, around making the lot of the policies for what's allowed in the roles, and then creating the IAM access and assigning with that STS assume role being the way we use this as a structure. It would be good to have some other feedback on it, like you said, but I'm absolutely in agreement that this is the right way to do the trust relationships, is the STS assume role, creating the roles so that we can reallocate the IAMs as we need them in the right places in the bots or with humans.
One concern I have is
just
go ahead. Sorry.
Go ahead, Caleb.
One concern I have is the role that we have created does everything, and so I think it would be good to have a separate role which is specifically for. I know we called the current one S3 writer, but if we could have one that does the lifecycle management, so can even create more and delete more kind of thing. But if we have a separate role that's just for putting and getting and listing, then let's coordinate that.
Totally.
I can create a ticket.
Totally do that.
I'll create a ticket in the CNCF Infra AWS Infra repo, and then I'll close this ticket and I'll reference all of the things to be right. And let's coordinate that and it will be good.
All right, awesome. Just to point out that when you call STS assume role, the session is automatically a short-lived credentials, which is, we want to get away from as much as possible long-lived credentials and access keys and things like that. So by calling STS assume role, it creates a temporary session token, and with permissions to execute whatever that target role has permissions for.
Like it.
Thank you.
All right, cool.
And
Caleb, I'll work with you offline on that.
Awesome. Thank you, Jay. Thanks, everyone.
Thanks to Jay and Caleb. That is really nice work on this. And one meeting is worth a million Slack messages and PR issue feedbacks. So thanks for clarifying in short. Caleb will push and Jay will iterate. Resolve that.
I will agitate that we need both.
Absolutely. I'm not replacing, one is not replacing the other, but this meeting moves it fast. Okay, as soon as that is done, I assume we can do the R copy, and then you can start doing the things you need to do once the roles are in place, and you can point to those specific buckets. Okay. Any other thoughts? What would be blocking to move us forward once we've got the IAM roles and the buckets populated? I think we're good. Thanks, Caleb. Looking forward to that. Jay, I see you did in chat, and your chat became an agenda point. Would you want to go ahead with that?
Sure. On I made it a separate promo tools command that just does the mirroring, because again we didn't want to run it within the same workflow for signing and all that. We want to do it after all that gets done. So I've got most of it done. I'm just writing some tests right now. And you configure in a YAML file the mirrors, and like the AWS regions and the buckets and stuff like that. And you pass the mirror to ref or image URI, and it uses the GCR or the Google Containers library to parse the image manifest and get the layers. And then issues an uploader call in the S3 library to upload to that particular bucket. So not particularly complicated. So hopefully I'll be able to, by the end of the week, get it up pushed so folks can review it.
Jay, how are we passing credentials or whatever else, tokens, whatever else is needed by this tool?
So the Crane stuff, which it uses the local auth chain for accessing GCR. For the S3 stuff, it'll take whatever's the typical SIG v4 AWS signing stuff, and that's all encapsulated in the AWS SDK session object and everything. So like, for instance, it'll look at the AWS credentials and like access key environment variables and stuff like that.
Okay, typical AWS stuff. And on the side,
yes, nothing abnormal.
Okay, got it.
And that's, by the way, that's partly why I wanted to make sure we weren't doing 11 different IAM users.
Good one.
Because, this thing essentially keeps 11 different sessions to S3 open, right? And I didn't want to have to deal with like multiple access keys and all that kind of stuff.
Right, got it. Thank you.
Now we see where you come from. Thanks, Jay. All right, I think that's it on that topic, unless there's any other questions. The last topic, Eddie, nice seeing you. OCI registry customization testing. You want to lead with that?
Yeah, the customized folks are doing some cool stuff with Helm chart support, and they have requested a OCI registry, so they don't have to use personal ones, and if they're using like HashiCorp's up there too. So do we have a preference? Should I just open an issue on K8s.io and work with Arno to get it? James is giving me the thumbs up. Okay, cool.
You have the thumbs up.
Yeah, we have lots of staging buckets that for different projects. So just ask for one.
Cool.
Or if they already have a GCS bucket, we can work with that too.
I don't think we have anything for customized there yet.
So we'll just create one that they can use. The main thing that we'll need is like the list of people that need to be put on the ACL for this thing. So if you gather the email addresses and open up an issue, Arno can quickly help with that, or I can too.
Okay, this is the same group stuff that we do for the community cluster. Okay, cool.
Yeah, groups.yaml, yep, same thing.
Okay. Adolfo says he's in chat. He's on his way. I think he beat us all to longest travel time starting now. And I think that's the last four. From a output point of view on this, I assume just about everybody working on this would be at KubeCon. Ben, you also going?
No, I won't be making it.
Okay, so how dependent would you be on the work that Caleb and Jay's doing, or because I think they'll be out of play for till after KubeCon.
Realistically, we are to land, it's going to take a week. So, but I don't think, yeah, Ben, go ahead, please.
At this point, I think regardless of that work, we can move forward, hopefully, with using the production domain in more places. We've been ready to do that for some time. For being able to move S3 serving to production, we're of course blocked on this. I don't think we have any major additional works going. I'm currently drafting some docs around testing expectations. And looking into enforcing code coverage. But other than that, I don't think we have a lot of additional work to do. We pretty much need to implement the production bucket mapping and make.
We lost you.
Ben. Okay, the only other thing that I could think of was Caleb and Jay, when you're doing this, just write it up somewhere so we'll remember the rationale, or put some small diagrams or something like that, so we know who to track or how it is set up, basically.
Yeah, Kayla's been doing a great job keeping the docs sort of organized and up to date.
I like hyperlinks. They're very cool.
I think they're here to stay.
Some kind of interconnected network. Sorry.
It really feels like we are getting very close. I saw Ben's write-up on the testing, or that he started working on that, and I think that's a lot of work still ahead of him. So yeah, I think we're in a good way, waiting for the IAM role just to be finalized, and then we can start implementing the production buckets.
Yeah. So the other update that I have for this group is, Arno was working with the Cloudflare folks on trying some things. He's stuck with one request for them to switch on something, and they haven't done it. So I have to go chase them this week. So Arno will be unblocked when he comes back from KubeCon. That's the only other thing that I had.
Okay. Anything else? Thanks for that, Ben. So yeah, so Cloudflare will also slowly move forward as we're busy solving this.
Right.
All right. Any other topics, or are we giving you back 20 minutes of your day?
That's amazing. Getting 20 back from this meeting.
Potentially. Wasn't there a PR that DIMS you raised that like touched like 240 different files?
Correct. Yes.
Did we discuss that already?
Yes, we started with that. Like when we talked about the CAP,
Okay,
when the fact that there is a PR too. So I'm trying to. Well, Sasha and Adolfo, I think they are okay with those things. Now I have to go hunt for Jordan or Clayton or somebody else too.
Okay.
Yeah.
Because I think Ben was saying something to the effect of like some of these search and replaces are actually for the push, and we don't want that. We only want to pull from registry K8s.io, right?
Yeah, we talked about that already.
Okay.
Essentially the release tooling already injects the staging repository when it does the build. So it, whatever is in KK repository gets overridden with the correct staging registry.
Yeah, we don't run pushes directly there, but like whatever the current tags are just get pushed. But that's already handled. It wasn't in the past before we had Carol.
Yeah. Anything else from you, Ben?
I do have one note, just an FYI. Tim and I have a meeting on the 23rd with some of the GCR/artifact registry folks, just to discuss what our options are, possibility for if we can do a redirect on the existing domain or like what they're open to. No one will be implementing anything, but we'll just be discussing their what they're comfortable with, what their thoughts are on that.
Thank you. This is exciting.
I've actually had that for a bit. I don't recall if I mentioned it at a meeting, but yeah, we tentatively booked for the 23rd.
Awesome. Sounds good.
Represent.
Okay.
Off mute, Brian.
Dims, if there was an XXXL label for a PR, you could have one of those, or maybe two. That's an impressive PR. We can make you a XXXL label for that PR.
Yeah, I like it when I'm deleting code, not when I'm updating or adding. So
I was gonna say, remember the
Noah
pull request that deleted XML from OpenStack? Yeah, that was fun.
That was fun.
Oh no.
Thanks a lot, everyone.
Thanks.
Thank
Good
you.
meeting. Enjoy KubeCon.
See some of you there and see the
See you there.
back.
Adios.